Welcome to No Further Limits, a place where we embrace resilience, hope, and faith. Today's conversation is a very powerful one. Our guest grew up without a biological dad. And despite of this, he embraced fatherhood with love and strength. He is raising up two incredible teenage daughters. How does a man who never had an example of a father raise daughters? How does he break the cycle of brokenness or of the absence of a father? With no further ado, let's welcome our guest today to introduce himself and tell us what he does. Welcome.
Thank you, Lemayan. My name is Simon. I'm a husband of one wife and a father to two daughters. The firstborn is 17 years old and the second one is 14 years old. Yes, I am a son of a single mom, a last born in a family of 8. Grew up like normal children, but of course without a father. And being brought up by a single mother has its own share of challenges. Of course, when you see other children talking about their fathers, you would miss a father. But I want to say that my mother filled the gap so well. She was so strong. She brought us so well together with my siblings. And though I missed a father, I would say that maybe what I would have gotten in a father, I got it from the mother in terms of preparations to the life that was to come. So I grew in a rural setup in Nakuru County. Went to a primary school, then went to a secondary school, which was just adjacent to the primary school. Actually, the only difference between the primary school and the secondary school was the uniform changed. And of course, in secondary school, now we could go to school in shoes. But it was within the same compound. Then after that, by the grace of God, I was able to pass in my KCSE and joined Egerton University, where I pursued a bachelor's degree. And immediately after that, I pursued a master's degree. And 20 years now backwards, I started working in the floriculture industry. I've worked in 4 organizations. And I have climbed the ranks, and currently I'm working as a head of a department in a flower company. And at the same time, because I had the desire to pursue further studies, 4 years ago, I started pursuing further studies, and I'm in my final year, and by the grace of God, I may be graduating this year with a higher degree.
Wow.
Yes, that is, in a nutshell, how I grew up.
That's wonderful. Kindly share with us, at what point did you come to realize that your father is not present?
Actually, I would say right from the beginning, I didn't see my father. And of course, I thought, just like any other boy, that there is a father who is somewhere, but the father was not there. And therefore, I knew life without a father. I knew that people had fathers, but for me, I didn't have a father. So for me, that was life. Yes, of course, I missed having a father, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I knew that my mother was separated, and therefore, I wouldn't bother too much about the father who ought to be there or who was there. So I just took it as it was and moved on with life.
And hearing what you went through, is there any event that happened to your life that made you long to have a father?
Yeah, of course, when celebrating some of the life's achievement, one would wish that there was a man who would be there to stand with me. But I think along the way, I lost the urge to miss a man who is a father in my life, and therefore life just became okay without a father. As long as my mom was there, and of course my siblings were there, I wouldn't really miss this person who is absent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in African setting, the extended family usually comes in and stand in the gap. Is there any man who came in your life and stood as a father figure while you were growing up?
No, I wouldn't say anyone came up, because I know that my mom had one brother who was, of course, we had relocated to Rift Valley and they were in Central. Actually, I happened to meet him while I was almost 14 years. And therefore it means that he wasn't available. And of course, because there was that disconnect, it means that I couldn't really relate with him very closely. And of course, actually, let me say this, that when you're brought up by a single mom, you don't really know how to relate to a man, because you have only related to a lady, you've related to your mom. And actually, to me, the person that I looked up to, though he was also as young as I was my immediate brother, the brother that I follow immediately. And actually, he really shaped my life. So for me, the family just involved my mom, my two elder sisters, and this brother. Anything to do with a man,
You didn't have.
yeah, I didn't have.
And considering all this, and there's usually an age that a boy comes into and they start looking for their identity.
Yes.
Did you ever felt like you want to look for your biological father?
Not really. And actually, I didn't even bother or consider asking about him. No. And my case was a little complicated because it was a separation. And this separation therefore meant that there was this father, but he was away. So, and there was no need for me to really bother my mom. And by the way, I loved my mom so much, so I didn't want to do anything that would really cause her some discomfort of a sort. So I didn't bother asking her about who my biological father would have been. And up to date, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Yes.
How were you able to deal with it, especially emotionally? Because yes, you are attached to your mom, but also, as we are aware, there are roles that and responsibilities that a father is supposed to take, and some values that they enshrine into their children, especially boys. How are you able to get into that space even of healing and moving on with life?
It's not a simple one, but I think everything to me revolved around mom and the promises that I had in life. Maybe we will come into it, but having been brought up by a single mother, there is one thing that I kept promising myself, that I would want to be a father that I didn't have. And I would say even in the setup where we grew, I wouldn't really maybe those days I wouldn't really say that the relationship of my fellow young men, the relationship that they had with their fathers was the kind of a relationship that we see in the current age, where people would really be so close. And I think this may have made me not really to miss this father, because I think the father was, the children would not really be too close to their fathers. And actually, I think, like in the village where I grew up, I wouldn't really say that fathers really shaped the lives of the boys and the lives of their children. I wouldn't really say that. And therefore, I think that even looking backwards, I would say that my mother did quite some good work. And actually, to give an example, if I look back into our village, I think we were among the people that achieved much in education.
Wow.
My sisters, my brother, and myself. While other boys dropped out of school, we couldn't drop out of school. It was not possible for you to drop out of school in our home and remain in that home. My mother really embraced education. My mother really used to talk to us. I remember a very significant phrase that she used to use. She would say to my sisters that the education that you're getting is not mine. It is yours, your husband's, and your children's. And to us, he would tell us that the education that you're getting is not mine. It is yours, for your wife, and for your children. And therefore, such words really shaped us, and she really kept encouraging us. So I wouldn't really say that I missed this man so much. But I would really want to say to, especially to those that could be following us, that sometimes a single mom can play the role of a father and a mother so well. I think that they only need to acknowledge that they are single, and now the burden of bringing up the children belongs to them, and then to take it with a lot of strength, with a lot of pride, and do it so well. And I think it is doable, and it is something that can be done. And I'm a testimony that a single mother can do it, even single-handedly. Yeah, in terms of advice, in terms of provisions, the provisions may not be as much as when you have two people doing it. But I think with that little, or with the much that they would be able to provide to their children, and with good advice and with good directions and with good guidance, their children can become what the mothers envisioned them to become.
Wow.
Yes.
It's so incredible hearing you speak fondly about your mother. Share with our community, how is your relationship with your mother, even at this time?
Yeah, unfortunately, she passed on in 2006.
Oh, sorry.
So
Sorry
it's quite some time.
Yes.
But she was a heroine.
Wow.
I think she's the best. I would say she was the best that a mother can be. And she meant a lot, not only to me, but to my siblings as well. She was such an incredible woman. She was there for us.
Yes.
Actually, she was there. I remember that when she went visiting, for instance, visiting our elder brothers, and she was not at home, we would feel the emptiness of the leader of the family, the household head, not being there. We would really feel it. Our security revolved around her, our provision revolved around her, our confidence, the confidence that one can get from a parent revolved around her. And therefore, she did a very good work. She was incredible. And I think that gives me a lot of confidence that even today's single mother can be able to do the same.
Amen.
Yeah.
And with this, as you continue to grow,
Yeah.
how are you able to relate with other children who had their fathers and mothers around?
It was just normal. It was just normal. I think I lost touch with this issue of having a father because I didn't find a father by the time as early as I can remember, I didn't find this father. So I think it was settled within me that I don't have a father, and therefore having a father or not having a father did not mean much in terms of my relations with my playmates and the young people that we grew together with. I think that one really helped me, that I didn't find a father. And I think my mother filled that gap. And because of filling that gap, I wouldn't really say that I felt being a lesser boy as compared to the others. Of course, there are some things that you would have wanted to have as a little boy that were not there.
Yes.
But I think our home or our household was just more or less the same as the other households that had a father and a mother. They had their own challenges back in the village, just like we had. And therefore, I would say the challenges were very few. And I would give an example. For instance, one that I really remember is something like having a panga that is not sharpened and thinking that if you had a father, maybe he would have sharpened it for you. But save for those small things. And of course, there are some men who would be around and with a lot of respect, you would go to Baba so and he would help in doing it. And that would close the chapter and life would move on.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't want to belittle this place of a father. But what I mean to say is if he's not around, then I think we cannot be fixated there. We have to move on and we have to embrace the challenges that would come with it, but move on with life.
Wow. Move on with life. You've really talked so much about your mother.
Yeah.
And there are single mothers out there raising children alone. What word of advice could you give to them?
I would say that motherhood, there is nothing else that is like motherhood. And now that they are single mothers, it is incumbent upon themselves to know that this is the reality and to fill the gap and to raise that boy, to raise that girl. And I would wish to tell them that they don't need to feel to have any form of any insecurity, that they can make it. They can do it.
Yes, they can.
They can do it single-handedly. And of course, I know a number of them who are doing it, and they are doing it very well. Actually, I've taken it like on Mother's Day to remember those specific ones that I know, and to keep on encouraging them and telling them about the good work that they are doing of bringing up their sons and bringing up their daughters single-handedly, and really telling them that the world is watching at what they are doing, and there are people that are proud about what they are doing.
Hallelujah. There are people that are proud about what they are doing.
Yes.
Keep on holding on.
Yes.
Because God is faithful, and you'll be able to give your children a story like the one our guest has. When you're introducing yourself, you said you're married.
Yes.
Getting to meet your wife, did you explain to her that you've been raised by a single mother, and how did she take that?
Yeah, actually, we dated for 4 years. So, and in the process of dating, I took her to our home, and they really gelled with my mom. Thankfully, my wife, for privacy reasons, let me not mention her name.
Yes.
She fellowshipped in Full Gospel, so she was born again. She knew that I was born again, and I was so serious about their relationship. So when we met, because it was when I finished my BSc, slightly before I started my MSc, I introduced her to my sister. Then I introduced her to my brothers. And I remember my brother, my elder brother, who is now like our father in our home, of course, in terms of advice, dropping some advice here and there, he told me that I have to be careful not to play around with someone's daughter. And I assured him that I was serious about their relationship. So I introduced my wife to my mother. She knew where I came from. She knew the home. She knew the story. She knew that I was a son to a single mother. And actually, even my father-in-law happened to know way before we got married. And I think I must have demonstrated even to my father-in-law that I was serious about it, because I never went beating around the bush. When we agreed that now we are dating and we're really looking forward to getting married, she introduced me to the parents. And yes, she knew very well. She knew where I came from. She knew my background.
Yeah.
But of course, I'd sold her my vision.
Yes.
I'd told her who I wish to be and what I'm working towards becoming. And I had assured her that by the grace of God, I knew that I would make the best husband
Wow.
that I've always wished that my mom had, and I would be the best father that I wished I had, and the one that I promised myself that that is the father that I want our children to have.
This is incredible.
Yes.
Usually the challenge is to break this, or going back to your history and explaining it to a person.
Yeah.
What gave you the motivation and even the courage to tell your wife that this, my background, this is how I've been raised, and I'm proud of it? What gave you that courage?
The courage came from knowing that it is me. It is me who was to become her husband. And of course, actually we met before I graduated. Maybe this is important. And when I was during my graduation ceremony, she came. And she was not coming in as a stranger. She was coming in as my girlfriend and my wife to be. And actually, maybe I will get a point where I will mention even something else that happened, because someone else also cautioned me about it. So I was proud because this is who I am, and I didn't want to be that person that I'm not. I had to tell her this is my background. Brought up by a single mother, she's really instilled discipline in us or in me. This is my achievement this far, and this is where I want to be. And actually, I must say that actually, when we were getting married, I thought that I would be done by my studies, because my ambition was to really finish BSc, MSc, and PhD. But I had to stall the PhD to get married. And at some point, I thought maybe I can shelve it until now 5 years back. That is when I took it up. So I think it was about me. And there is nothing that I could have hidden from her. I had to be as open as I can be. I had to be as candid as I can be.
Yes.
I had to tell her, this is Simon. If you will get married to me, this is the person that you will be married to. And therefore, she needed to decide to get married to me with the whole information about myself, not really finding out way later after we've gotten married and maybe thinking that I'm not an open person. That is all that I wanted to be. Yeah, to be open.
Yes.
And to be married to a person who really knew me.
Okay.
Yes.
And children started coming.
Yeah.
At the point of you getting children, did you felt like you are ready to have children and you are ready to become a father, considering that you did not have a father in your life?
Yes. Way back when I was in Form 3, I remember walking along a pathway back at home. And I must have spoken to God, and I asked God that I would really want to get married to a good wife. I would only have one wife, and I would wish to get a wife whose father would be my friend. And God answered that. First of all, my father-in-law was like a father. So at this stage in life, if there is anything that I wanted to get in a man or to look up to a man, I would look up to my father. And we would sit after we got married, and he would give me tips here and there. But when it comes to getting children, I knew that I was ready to get children. So, but remember that I had promised myself what kind of a father that I would want to be, and what kind of a husband that I would have wanted to be. So by the time I was getting married, I knew what I wanted in life. The only thing that I would say is, from my background, I really looked forward to getting my firstborn being a daughter, so that I would name her after my mom. And God is so gracious, that is what I got.
Yes.
So I got a firstborn who is a daughter. Both of them are girls.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that. But I really looked forward to getting children so that I would be a father, the father that I didn't have. Of course, you haven't seen a father raising up kids so that you can copy.
Yes.
But I think sometimes it is not even good to copy, because you could copy a wrong thing. So you would rather, sometimes you can navigate on your own. And of course, being a Christian, the navigation, I look up to God to navigate through. So I was prepared to be a father.
Yes.
And to be a father to a daughter as a firstborn.
Yes.
And God gave me that. Yes.
And God added you another.
And God added
daughter.
me
Yes.
a second daughter. So I'm a father of two daughters.
Two daughters.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a conversation with your daughters about your background, that you grew without a father, and how did they take it?
Yeah, my daughters really knows that. Unfortunately, they were not able to meet my mom, so she passed on a year before our firstborn arrived. So it is telling them who mom was. But of course, they know the whole story. They know that their father is brought up by a single mother, a man who has really tried to become what he wished to have become. And I have not hidden anything from them. And I've really made them to know that that is me and that is not them. For them, they have a father who is who will always be there and who has always been there, and who looks forward to always being there. So, and I have tried to assure them that my history shouldn't have a negative impact in their lives. If anything, it should only have a positive impact in their lives, because I want them to get that which I didn't get.
Yes.
Yes.
Many men struggle on balancing their career, personal development, and being present in the life of their children.
Yes.
How have you been able to balance this?
I've happened to work in Naivasha. I've happened to work in Kiambu. I'm back in Naivasha. So what happens, it is that I'm the one who goes and comes. But my family is at the center. So one thing that we've agreed, for instance, when I worked in Kiambu, every Saturday I had to come home. I worked there for 4 years, 6 months. No single Saturday that I failed to come home. So I was home every Saturday. Then I moved, I changed job, I stayed at home for 2 years. Then again, I changed, I went away. This time, what I usually do is that every Wednesday, I'm home. And every Saturday afternoon and Sunday, and leave on Monday. So every time I'm there.
Yes.
Then, because they are at the center, especially when they were very young, I never missed any of their activities. Whether it is school, I would always be there. And actually, even now, if there is a school event, of course, now we're sharing with my wife because one is at home, the other one is in boarding, that mostly I travel to go and be with the other one. But I have always purposed to be there. When they were young, very small, especially every Saturday that I come, the homework that they have for the weekend, we would sit down and do the homework together. I really try to follow up on what they're doing, encouraging them. And I've really tried to be a present father. For me, work is important, but my family is very, very important. So, and actually, even a time like now that I'm studying, I always say that studies are number 4. Actually, studies is around number 3, number 4, because number 1 is family and work, then of course ministry, and now studies. So what I'm doing is not very important. It is not supposed to interfere with these 3. But family is very important. Remember that I made a promise to myself. I want to be a husband that my mother didn't have, and I want to be a father that I didn't have. Yes.
There is this aspect that you've brought of presence.
Yes.
Of being present in their lives. What is your definition and understanding of being present in the life of your daughters?
I would say it is just being there. I think someone said that the best gift that you can give someone is your time. Time is the best gift. I think time and quality time. And because I'm a man of faith,
Yes.
I remember a message that was preached by one preacher during a Father's Day, and he said that, I think it is from Proverbs chapter, is it 13 or 23, 22, that a wise man leaves his children and his children's children an inheritance. And one of the inheritance that he talked about was memories. And if there is one thing that I have purpose to leave my daughters is memories. So I have to be there. When they are talking about their school days, I want them to carry the memories that Dad has been there during our schooling time. If it is other events, birthdays, Dad was there in our birthdays. In other achievements in life, I want to be there so that I will leave them with those memories. I want to give them that time. So time. So, of course, this time is 24 hours. It has to be shared. But I try to apportion them that time. And especially at times like this, with my firstborn daughter, what I'm doing sometimes is having a date with her, just the two of us. We go out for a date and we just talk and just try to encourage her. If it is on matters education, just encourage her. If it is on matters on faith, just encourage her. So I usually have time with them. Sometimes I will tell my wife, and especially the second-born, because we are always together, that this is the time for our firstborn. I have to go out with her. Sometimes it just involves sitting in the car and just talking, listening to her, asking her how has school been, and just sitting there and listening and trying to correct her where I think there needs to be correction. Where there is need for rebuke, I will rebuke, but also to be an encouragement. Yeah.
There are those men who are very busy with their career, with their education, and as they work, they keep on sending money to their families. What is the place of sending money to the family for upkeep and your presence, that is, as you have said, having time with your children? How are you able to balance the two?
First of all, I need to say, this is me, but I think sending money is not enough. I think what our children need is the presence. I think there are things that money cannot do. There is an advice that cannot be given by money. And just like I have said, actually looking back at what the preacher said, actually when he talked about money, it was way around number 8. He talked about so many things that a father can leave to their children. And money figured was about number 8. So there were 7 things right ahead. And I think I will tell you about 2 people who... There is a preacher, I once attended a men's fellowship, and the preacher said that a father needs to be present. A father needs to be present. Even that money that I'm earning, I need to be present when we're spending it, so that we spend it together with our children.
Yes.
So I took that. That was when my daughter was about a year. Then again, when my daughter was about a year, an old man who was reporting to me at my place of work, he told me, listen, you have to be there for your children. And he was citing his example. His example was not a very good one, but now he was advising me that you need to be there. And this is what he told me, and I will just tell you what he told me. He told me that let your children know that it is you who pays their school fees, but be there to pay the school fees.
Oh.
Not just sending it. Be there to pay the school fees. So it means that you're present, because how would you be able to pay the school fees if you're not present? You will not send it. And I've taken it upon myself. Like myself, what I do, and we have agreed this with my wife, is we sit down with our daughters and we pay. Nowadays, because we're paying via M-Pesa, we will pay for 2 reasons. One is the promise that I have for myself, that it is good to be there, and it is good to show them that at least this money belongs to us, the 2 of us. But because I will be away, they should also know that I'm playing a part in their education. But number 2, an incident happened where our daughter was sent out that she had not paid her school fees. But that was not the case. It was a mistake. And therefore, we chose to be paying together, so that if the teacher or the administrator of the school tells them that you haven't paid the school fees, they will say, no, I was there when dad was paying the money, or I was there when my parents were paying the money. Yeah.
Hearing you also, I've heard that you are a person of faith.
Yeah.
What role does faith play in bringing up children, especially for your case that you are bringing up daughters?
Yes, I think what I want to say, and I would say to they that are watching us, is that the Bible has an answer to everything in life. Anything that you want to get, you will get it from the Bible. One, the Bible tells us that God is the father to the fatherless. So God is a father. And therefore, for me, what I've chosen to do is, even if I didn't have a father that I could look up to, I can look up to God. And I can take the characteristics of God, I can learn the characteristics of God and try to apply them to my children, because I'm a father. So therefore, I have God to look up to as a father.
Yes.
But when you look at the scripture again, it gives us the way that we need to treat everyone within the family. 2 scriptures, if you go to Colossians chapter number 3, I think from verse number 18 to verse number 21, Paul talks to the church in Colossae about the family. He tells us especially about the space of the father, that fathers, we should not provoke our children to anger lest they be discouraged. And he repeats it in Ephesians chapter number 6, I think verse number 4, that we should not do that. Therefore, I'm instructed by the Bible. And again, because I'm a man of faith, I remember 15 years ago, there is a preacher who preached to us, and he was talking about fathers, and he really enumerated the ways in which a father can provoke their children to anger. Remember, at that time, my firstborn daughter was barely 2 years. So I've again carried that with me up to date, together with the scriptures. And therefore, I must say that I'm guided. To be a father, I'm looking up to God. To be a father to my children, the Bible instructs me. Of course, it tells us about the disciplining and all that. And therefore, I'm well advised by the Bible. When it comes to being a husband, the same letter by Paul to the church in Ephesus talks about being a husband. So that is important. But besides that, I also think I have met with people who have dropped a few hints in my life. I remember one day in 2007, a man was driving me to go board a plane in Oliver Tambo Airport. And on the process, we started talking. He was an elderly man. He was divorced. And he asked me, Simon, do you have a child? I told him, no, we are expectant. We are expecting. And he gave me a hint, and he told me, when you get your children, know that there is a place for discipline. And he told me, we are divorced, but the way we are bringing up our children is we talk with my ex-wife.
Yes.
If our sons are not with me, they have to be with the mother. And the mother will call me to tell me that our sons are with me. And equally, if they leave, she will call and tell me they left at this specific time, so you should be expecting them at this time. Of course, that was a lesson. And then he told me that it is very okay that he once in a while gives them a few strokes here and there. But after doing that, he will hug them and tell them it is not you that I was beating. It is the mistake that you did that I was correcting. I carried that with me. And therefore, even when I'm doing it to our daughters, whether it is talking or whether it is sometimes, I'm a human being, sometimes I will raise my voice when talking to them, but I will tell them, it is not you as a person, it is what you did. So I'm learning to differentiate the two. But of course, I must say that I'm advised that there is a place for me to discipline my children, both advised by the Bible and, of course, by others.
And in that case, who is the best? Who is the disciplinarian in this family? Is it you or your wife? Because many a times daughters tend to be very close to their fathers. How are you able to balance that your daughters do not take an advantage, that when they do wrong, they'll always run to you, not to their mom?
Actually, I want to speak to the one who is following us. One thing that I realize is that I can lavish my children with the love that I never got to a point of spoiling them. So I have to balance it. That is very clear. But of course, being away, there is one thing that I have learned. Sometimes mothers will wait for fathers to come to report their children what they did, so that the fathers can discipline them. And for me, I don't agree with that, because I realized that I could be coming on Wednesday or on a Saturday, rather than having this good time with my daughters that dad has come home. I'll be coming to discipline them because of the things that they did. So one thing that we've agreed with my wife is a mistake has to be sorted there and then. It cannot be kept. And of course, my daughters are informed that I'm the father. But actually, I cannot remember the time that I disciplined them in terms of beating them or something like that. Of course, I have done it. Like with firstborn, I can remember there is a time that I was quite angry because she hadn't done her schoolwork. But of course, we talk a lot. I talk a lot with our daughters. I spend a lot of time with our daughters, talking with them and trying to correct them and telling them what is wrong it's wrong. So I believe that it is not always beating. And for me, I think because of this closeness, we really respect that closeness, that one of the discipline is ensuring that this closeness, there is no gap between this closeness because of something that they did. So, and because we understand each other, we will try to do that. So this aspect of being too close and being friends, because there is nothing that my daughters can't tell me. We will talk. They will tell me about anything. Yeah. So I think, but a man, of course, a man is a man. And that is why I started by saying that this is one of the gaps that single mothers can fill. Because like my mom, in terms of discipline, she was at another level. She was at another level. So I think there is that place of discipline. But for instance, when I was in Form 4, we were too close that I really respected my mom. I wouldn't have wanted to do something that would really make her to be stressed. And it is because of the relationship. But I also understood that when it came to taking the cane, she could have done it. Similarly, my daughters knows very well that if that is the thing that has to be done, I will do it. But again, with a lot of love. And I will tell them it is not you, it is the mistake that you did. Yes.
I want you to give an advice to a man who has been brought up as who was brought up by a single mother, and he didn't have a father figure around him, and he's raising a family. I want you to advise him on how he can cultivate a close relationship with his children.
Okay. Maybe I will first of all start by saying that for us men now who are married and who are fathers, I think we need to be very cautious on how we are parenting and on our relationship with our wives, because there is a young man who is looking up to us. So if they are looking up to us, they are admiring our relationship, then we have to safeguard that relationship, not only for our own sake, but for the sake of they that are looking up to us. In other words, we can mentor people not by really talking, but by looking at us and seeing how we are bringing up our children, seeing how we are relating with our wives, and out of that, they can get encouraged. But I would say that sometimes I usually think there is no script on how to become a father. There could be, but there may not be a script that you really have to follow. That is number one. Number two, I think what you missed, you can also find it. Of course, there are books that are written, there are podcasts that you can listen to. There are people that are out there that you can sit down with and they can advise you. Personally, I would say that I have older men that I have sat with them. And when we've sat, I will always try to carry 1 point home, 2 points home. And those also really shapes, adds, they are experienced. That would add to my experience. So I would say, there is nothing like fearing. Just assure yourself that you will become a husband, you will become a father, and again, let God play his role in your life to help you to be a father, to help you to be a husband, and again, look for advice. Of course, there are books that are written on parenting, on relationships, and follow that. And I would also say that even as you're reading, even as you're looking for information, look at what can really work for you, because we always have models. Look at the model that would work out for you, practice it. And the number one model that we cannot really choose whether to follow or not is the model of the Bible. But of course, others can be added into it.
Wow.
Yes.
As we bring this to a close,
Yes.
I want to take you back to where you were, a young boy, a small boy, Simon.
Yes.
What advice can you give the young Simon?
I would tell them to have hope. Have hope and be optimistic. And being a son of a single mom doesn't make you to be a lesser boy, a lesser son, or a lesser of a man. You're just a man like any other man. And therefore, you can look forward, look into the future with a lot of hope, with a lot of expectations. Actually, I would say that dream and live your dream and let the dream keep you going and focus onto that dream.
Wow.
Yes.
What a powerful way to bring this to a close. Mr. Simon, thank you for sharing your story. We pray that this story will reach many, and many will learn and get the nuggets that you've shared with us. To our viewer, that's the end of our episode today. As we promised in the beginning that we'll have a powerful conversation, that is what we've just heard. If what our guest has shared with you resonates with you, or you're able to associate with it, kindly consider subscribing. Put on the notification bell so that every time you upload a new episode, you will not miss any. But also, let's continue this conversation in the comment section. Remember, as our guest has said, that what you missed, you can always have. And with that, bye for now.